Okay, we're back. We're going to spend a few minutes with Arthur Whitman, Vermont Seed Dealers Association member. Uh, and we are talking about the former section 10, now section 9. And Mr. Whitman, good to have you on. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, thank you. Sorry for the delay, but technology, but I'm still getting used to it. My name is Arthur Whitman. I'm a resident of Shasberry, semi-retired. I had a family business that ran a feed store for 50 years in the town of Shasberry. 10 years ago, I sold it to Pulling Grain. We serviced an area around southern Vermont, Massachusetts, and New York State with mainly bulk dairy feeds. After selling the business, I became semi-retired. I do have a small fleet of trucks that spread lime and soil amendments on fields. So that's a seasonal thing. So I'm able to somewhat retire and spend a little time in Florida. But I also have a small farm and raise a few beef cattle. I'm currently the president of the Bennington County Farm Bureau. So I come to you with quite a bit of knowledge in agriculture, but I also have an understanding of the uncertainty of solar and that sort of stuff because I was chairman of the Shasberry Select Board when a proposed 80+ acre solar field was proposed for the town of Shasberry, and it is now waiting for Public Utility Commission approval. So I come to you as a farmer and a landowner on this issue of S323, which is on the size of solar and the size of electric generating facilities. I just don't understand why you would restrict a landowner or a farmer their ability to generate power on a certain just restricting the size of it. Because there is economy and scale. The larger the facility, the less the cost per unit of output keeps getting cheaper. That's economics 101.
I don't want to take your presentation away from you, Art, but I think we're going to strike that size portion out of this bill, should we proceed with it. So that is not going to be a factor with us as far as with what, how the bill was proposed. So I think we made that decision not to restrict size.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a long discussion before your testimony, so it's a little bit more scaled back.
I guess
So good job, Art. You did a good job with that.
there still is a lot of concern over preserving prime ag land and that sort of stuff. And some people have the fear that solar fields are going to take over all of Vermont's precious soils and all that sort of stuff. But the reality is that these larger fields can only be established where there is a high tension line in a close proximity. You have to have huge three-phase power lines running next to these facilities, and these are not all over the whole state. So the amount of land that may be utilized for such large fields is limited as to where these large high tension lines are. And that's kind of like a misunderstanding. People think these fields are going to take over the whole state.
So, Art, why do people come to Vermont? Do they come to Vermont to look at solar fields, or do they come to look at prime ag soils that are growing something?
Okay, I have a small farm that has a 20-acre side hill pasture, and the reason it's a side hill pasture is because it's nothing but rocks and ledge. And so I live on a dirt road way up, and there's nothing but farms all around me. So if I wanted to not raise cattle anymore and wanted an income from this land, I'd like to put in a solar field, and I don't want to be restricted on the size of it or that sort of thing. as long as we're abiding by zoning and that sort of stuff, nobody's gonna see it unless they're lost, because the only way in and out of a hollow is the way in and the way back out. So I don't see a lot of people traveling past my facility all the time.
I love the idea of putting solar on that 20 acres of that pasture ledgy land. It's a little bit harder to build on, and keeping that prime ag soil with the ability to grow food, because if we do want to become a food resiliency center for the Northeast, we're not going to grow food on that ledgy side hill, but we are going to grow food in that nice prime ag soil.
Exactly. Okay.
So are you near a high tension line? I didn't
No,
really.
I'm not.
So you wouldn't be able to do that 20-acre solar field?
That's right. I was giving that as an example. No, I am not near a high tension line, so it's just not practical. And that's the whole point of my talk, is it's just not practical. Everybody has this fear, and and the practicality of these big places being all over the state is not realistic.
And that's the issue that we run into, Art, is that where three phases that they like to hitch into mainly runs on more travel areas. So it's hard to find the ideal spot when it comes back down to the power. Whoever's doing the field goes, well, that's a great spot. Nobody will see it. But now it's going to cost too much for us to bring three-phase in to do this field here. So we prefer to do it out where the power line is, right where everybody sees it. And that's where all this worry comes from, that people are like, it's going to clutter up our roadsides because that's where the power lines are. So we're sitting here, like the chair says, hey, if you got a field that's not great and you want to put it in it, we're all for it. But then they'll say, well, there's not power close by. I come from a family farm. We had 80 acres, and solar company came and looked at it. And then when they realized there wasn't three-phase there, they said it cost too much to bring three-phase out there, and they walked away from the project. So we're trying to find that medium that, hey, if you're going to come in and do this, we want the farmer to have the right to do it, because I'm very big about that, especially if you farm the land, you know what it's worth.
Pay taxes on it.
You pay taxes on it. However, when the situation like what we have in Lowell, that is the really great place for the solar to put it. But the town's like, it's right in the center of town. We don't want, we have no say. PUC comes in, zoning and that doesn't matter. And when it comes to other industries coming in, if it was a manufacturing company or that all comes into play. So my personal belief is that should come into play as well when it comes to solar. And that's the ground I'm looking to get out of this. Protect the farmer. He wants to sell it. They want to sell it. They should be able to do it. However, if we had an uproar when we wanted to do a small manufacturing company just outside of Bristol, and the townsfolk just put up such a thing, it never happened. So in the solar field, you might not have that same opportunity. What's happening in Lowell, down in Shasberry as well. So how do we as legislators find that common ground? If I was to ask you that, I am asking you. Because you're a farmer, you deal with farmers. How do we find a common ground in all this?
In traveling back and forth to Florida, I see huge solar fields right off the interstates and that sort of stuff that cover many, many acres. Other places don't seem to be concerned about the aesthetics as what we're raising in Vermont.
But we have also a culture of tourism where we are trying to protect that so that people will still come here and see that, because we don't have that large industry to support our state. We are a tourism state. We aren't agriculture state. And so I get it that other states don't have the same, but they have other opportunities to create dollars to support how they run. And we are supported by a ton of tourists, a ton of agriculture, and that's what we're trying to get to as well. And to your point about, very well taken point about the power source of where it's at. We've used this analogy a few different times. You've got 1,000 acres of farm. You got 250 acres of prime land. You got 750 acres that most times sit right next to that prime ag land. So they're going to have that same power source. They're going to have everything. We're just asking, build in that less desirable land. Because you're not going to use it for much other than pasture that we don't use anymore. And it does two things. One is it stays out of our prime ag land, but it also gives the farmer a bit more money for land that they had deemed not so valuable. So we're trying to help the farmer in that way as well to make, okay, you know, that's 750 acres of land that really is just because it's part of my farm. Okay, now I can get a few extra dollars out of that because nobody's going to buy it for anything else. But here we go. We'll put some solar on there. We get that it's going to cost the solar people a little bit more to build on. We get that. And I know that they argue, well, that just raises the cost of solar. That just raises the cost of energy. Well, you know, we're buying power out of the Midwest on natural gas for 6 cents a kilowatt, and they're getting 16 to 21 cents per kilowatt on solar as it is already. I think they're doing okay. I get that. It's the only industry that I know that actually can build a project. And it is absolutely positively guaranteed that we have to buy the product at a preset price that we don't have much say in it, that the open market doesn't seem to dictate. So, you know, we're not trying to get in their business a little bit, but if their costs go up a little bit, it's just what it is. So be it. Over the 25-year period of that field, I think they might be able to recoup it. They just might not be able to make as much as they wanted to make.
Okay.
Are you going to put any size limit on it, or
No.
and you took the 5 acres off?
Took the 5 acres off, and we weren't in favor from that right from the beginning. But we wanted to go through the process, and we wanted people such as you to come in and be able to say something about it as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for asking me.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you, Art. Thank you for coming. Thanks for taking the time.
All right. Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Yep. Okay. Let's get back to page 18. Page 18. Let's try to figure out what we can do here.
So if I were to suggest line 6, with respect to solar energy generation facility to meet this criterion, a licensed or professional engineering firm approved by DEC shall perform a full spectrum audit of energy payback time, carbon dioxide emissions at the cost of the applicant. Period. The audit shall include a calculation of the costs of disposal of all technologies required, including solar panels, concrete footprint transformers, and batteries, period. I think they already do that to some degree, but I'm not 100% sure of that. But to me, if the PUC was going to approve a permit, it would be good for them to be able to say at the end of the life, the applicant has to take care of breaking it down and putting it back into the production if that's what we're talking about. And it's just a suggestion. I took out a lot of the other stuff in there that.
Yeah. And that's a projection of what it would cost 25 years.
Yeah. That's supposedly the life of the
Yeah.
panels, even though.
Yeah.
We don't have any.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Why does it even matter to us that we know that cost? Why don't we just put something in there that they will bond for the cost.
Be responsible.
Be responsible for the cost, not even bond. So what's it even matter that we even know the cost?
That's a good question.
Maybe.
And they'll do the calculation, say,
How does that strike you? Do that anyway?
I don't know, that's.
I mean, that's sound crazy.
yeah, if we put it in statute, then we know they have to. Could be a rule.
Well, I think it's already in existence, statute, but I could be wrong. Maybe Ellen will be able to.
You know,
But since they, Senator Ingles' point, since they have to do it, we care, because they're fitting the bill for it.
Yep.
You know, so it's up to them to, you're right, that if they were smart business people, that they would, you know, try to figure out as best they could, but they're responsible after it's to make sure that they do this second part of the cheat sheet, says in a
Yeah, my other, I guess, additional question, is it in statute now that if 25 years happen, that company could just pull up and walk away and never be responsible for anything else? I don't know what the current statute is or not, but that would be something massive. I guess.
Peter's behind us.
I was about to, do you know what the current statute is?
There's a decommissioning process that the solar, Peter Sterling, Renewable Energy, for the record. There's a decommissioning process that the PUC runs. They hold that basically there's a certain amount of money in an escrow fund that there's a letter of credit that has to be reauthorized every few years to make sure it's kept up. And it's the process the Public Utility Commission has created. And
But does it have the weight of law for the developer?
yeah, it's in the certificate of public goods.
Okay.
So it's a legal document.
Oh, so there's already money put in escrow to
As
make
part-
sure that they can't just pick up and walk away. Okay.
Well, they could pick up and walk away.
Well,
but
yeah,
they would
but
fall out.
the money's there to, someone's going to, if,
Someone, not the state or the landowner,
Right.
will keep
yes,
fixing that,
Yeah.
that land though.
And that's held in escrow for each project?
There's actually a letter of credit that the developer has to produce.
So it's not like a bond, it's just a letter of credit.
So what happens is the developer has to keep a certain amount of money in a bank account. And that developer has to produce every couple of years a letter saying that they have this money set aside. So it's not technically an escrow fund, which is a different legal thing, right? But the developer has to certify that they have money held in an account that is tied to this project's decommission. And the PUC oversees that process annually.
So there's language, Peter, that we can gather to make that more clear, where we can reference the language. We can reference the statute or what it is.
That the legislature created that statute guiding the PUC's decommissioning process.
So can you answer me this, Peter? When that solar field gets sold from one company to the next company, to the next company, to the next company, I have a farmer that in Bristol that he goes, I don't even know who owns it anymore. It's been sold so often. How do we make sure that money is there for when it comes time to close down that facility?
The Public Utility Commission monitors the decommissioning process. So
Ah.
regardless of who sells it, the Public Utility Commission has staff people. You should bring them in, they're the experts.
I'd like an answer on that, because, you know, yeah, other than that, it should be a bond that follows, because that's happens in construction all the time. Maybe that's asking.
Do we know? Well, I think you have to have, I hear you. I think you have to have a little trust in the process.
Mhm.
And that if we can borrow the language that they're bound to and insert it in there, that should be able to circumvent. That should be able to circumvent anything.
It's 25 years from now, which there's one in New Haven, or for Jens, it's gotta be coming up in
And-
20 years.
And again, Senator, what I just don't want to get to want to be a partner with the solar people. I know they don't see it in that way.
Right.
I don't want them to see that we're trying to get in their wheelhouse and make it more difficult for them to do that. And if there's already language in there that says that that's what they must do, I'd just rather go with that language.
I agree.
At this point in time, we're not trying to change that industry. It's already been determined that that's what they're gonna do. I'd rather just borrow that language for this bill and trust that that's in there properly.
Question's more of a procedural question, because I'm good with the language changes that we just talked about.
Are we gonna get that language written out to get to Alan?
But just sort of, I don't know if it's a jurisdictional question. Do we have to limit this to when it's a project that's on primary agricultural soils? Because do we care if there's any additional time like when it's done on a parking lot? So I don't, I literally don't know if that's needed or.
I will go where the committee goes. I am focused on prime soil.
I think Ruff is a very good point. Yeah. We don't care about anything but property.
So if it's something like with respect to a solar energy generation.
I think that's almost another committee's jurisdiction on that, or as far as whatever. I don't care about anything other than the prime ag part of it. I'm not trying to change that business of I'm not trying to change their business model. Don't want to change their business model, other than where it touches us.
I think spelling that out, what you just said, I ag. So
Would you read that opinion for Alan?
Are we getting what we want changed in?
Well, let's just write something and send an email to Alan and say, can you include it on and just be specific about the lines of where we're gonna be? Do you have time?
Can we send me an email first?
Well, I'm not married to what I said.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
Sitting here.
yeah, I'm not sure what our specific details are. We want.
How about with respect to solar generations on prime ag land?
Yeah.
Has to meet these criteria.
Crime or statewide importance.
Well, primary agricultural soils is defined. And it includes that, okay, includes primary, statewide.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I think I can do that. I'll. So the first sentence.
Yes, when it comes to prime land, they should be scrutinized more than.
Yes.
I think that's fair. I think the state's being fair to all parties at that.
And then something that references the requirements.
Right, they already have the language for the decommissioning and all of that. No, I don't want to change that.
I'll reach out to that.
That's not,
Okay.
to be honest with you, it's none of our business.
Yeah, so it's funny how we kind of like with the hemp, it kind of gets pulled off this way.
It does.
This,
I
and pulled off that way.
very focused.
Stay on the land, that's what we're
Yeah,
doing.
stay in your lane.
Well, that's
Okay,
section 9.
and there we go.
Can I just ask Attorney Collier, maybe you were listening earlier, maybe you weren't.
Not before I walked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going back to, page 15 of draft 2.1, you have 2.1?
I do have that. Thank you.
Okay, so page 15, we deleted the reference about the Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets, and just let the existing statute read, the Agency of Natural Resources shall appear as a party in any proceedings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that was at your, I don't want to say request, but you indicated that it would be another job to have to be there all the time, kind of thing.
We already have the authority to be there when we think
Yeah,
we should be
okay.
there, and we are compelled to be there for some projects, so
Right.
I
The
think,
larger one.
Yeah.
But you're okay if we just took that other piece out?
yes,
Okay, great.
thank you.
Yeah. I try to remember.
What? You do better than I am then.
And are we suggesting that we just, on page 19, strike out from, the end of 9-3, gas impacts, the rest of that is struck. And then Rob's gonna work on the preceding page, page 18, with respect to a solar energy generation facility on prime ag land to meet the criteria, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, well, I think we've buttoned this up.
Yeah, I think we have to. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Well, then let's move on. Thank you guys for that. That was good committee work. I appreciate that very much. Okay, we're gonna move on now to go on as 323, obviously. And we have our general counsel for the Agency of Agriculture, Food and Market and Legislative Council, Office of Legislative Council. And I think that we're gonna spend a few minutes on at least 1 through 3. And is that what you guys are expecting to do, or what do you want to do?
Well, whatever you like. My
Okay. Thank you, Peter.
Oh, thank you for doing
Yeah. Okay, Allison.
Thanks.
If I may.
Yes.
So Brenda showed me off what and there's only one change that I made in this draft that's highlighted in blue. The committee's probably already seen that. Happy to go over that change. And then it sounds like you're working on the solar piece, and there's 2 more sections that the committee indicated might come out, and I wanted to get an update on that.
Okay, sound good, and that is perfect. I just want to make sure that before you 2 gentlemen leave, that we can know that 1 through 3 is where it needs to be. Sections 1 through 3. That's very, very important to us. So yeah, and any other changes, Attorney? Yes, absolutely.
I wish you hadn't made it blue.
Yeah, I didn't realize the printing when you print it out. It's so hard to read. But it's easy to read on the screen, so I apologize for that. I won't use blue anymore.
There's a complainer in every crowd.
I had the same reaction. I'm like, I can't see this. What happened? It's definitely a nice light blue on my screen. So we could, if we want to just discuss that highlighting content. So this was an error that I made in the last draft. So what this has changed to is provided, so the current statutory language has provided that you don't need an accessory on-farm structure permit, provided that more than 50% of the total annual sales of the prepared or processed qualifying products come from products produced on the farm where the business is located. And then the addition is, or no more than $250,000 adjusted for inflation in total annual sales of prepared, processed, qualifying products come from products that are not produced on the farm where the business is located. And then there is an adjustment for inflation in there. We decided to keep the CPI. I did confer with Steve on this, and I think that that's probably the best inflator to use in the situation. It's a policy choice if you want to use the CPI just for food. Farms use other items, equipment, housing, things of that sort that might be affected by inflation as well. But there is an inflator just for food, if the committee wanted to change the inflator to CPI just for food. But as it stands right now, the inflator is the consumer price index for all items.
Sorry, just as long as we, the way I see it is just as long as we had something that follows inflation.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And that people understand the language of what we're using to follow the inflation.
Right.
So that is, yeah.
This one you said is more general, right? And
I'm fine with that. Everybody fine with that? I want to be able to easily have everybody, as we're reporting this out, understand what we just said. Yeah.
And then the other 2 questions that I had were on page 11, section 7, and then it continues on to section 8, going on to pages 12 and 13. When we last left the committee, these are changes to the current use program. Section 7 change, and the committee was considering taking these out. I just want to get an update. Section 7 changes requirements for owners to notify when the land has changed its use. And then section 8 changes creates presumption that a new structure on enrolled agricultural land will be used for agricultural purposes. And I wanted to know if the committee still plans to keep those items in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
What do you say? Because I think we can take another bite at that apple if we continue our work with with what we had yesterday for that conversation. I don't want to lose that conversation. I'm not willing to lose that conversation. I think that if we're gonna do some more work on it, that we can do that in that next conversation. Because as soon as we get this bill passed, we're gonna still talk about what we talked about yesterday.
I'm good.
Sure. Wait, so like,
That needs to keep it in.
no,
Oh, take it out.
take it out.
Yeah, yeah. I said, yeah,
No,
Positive, negative.
yeah.
I mean, I like the idea.
So we're taking out what?
Enough.
We're taking out
Probably not
the,
good day.
what was underlined, 15 through.
Seven,
It'll just be
all seven.
just
Oh, all seven. So they're off the bill.
Yes.
and,
But not out of our minds.
No, no, definitely not out of the lines.
and then, the last piece was that I still have not heard from the CCB on.
I just sent them an email
Great,
today,
great.
and I said, FYI, and send me your communication.
Okay,
So we hopefully hear back from them, and, we need to hear back. I'll put some more pressure on.
okay, that's great. And that's all the questions that I have.
Okay, so, Mr. Collier, how are we 1 through 3?
Great.
You're good?
Steve Collier, yeah, Agency of Agriculture. Yeah, it's perfect. And I think that the House Agriculture Committee will be passing something that's different. So you'll have another chance to revisit all these issues. But no, this is a compromise position that we took. We're very appreciative of your listening to all those efforts. We still are talking to the other stakeholders. We want to continue those conversations. Ideally, we'll still get to a place where all of the farm organizations and the league are all content with what moves forward. But I think this is a great place to start. And I think it's also good that it's different than the House version, so that will facilitate some continued communication, because if anyone's getting exactly what they want, they stop talking about how you can change it.
Right, right. So, well,
So, what's specifically in the House version is, you see this difference.
So, yeah, so the framework is a little different in that there's, essentially farming can still be exempt, but not in tier 1A and tier 1B, which is what the league wants. They want to be able to zone in tier 1A and 1B. We're very concerned about that. However, they have narrowed very much the scope of what could be regulated in tier 1A and 1B. And we've had conversations with the league about, I think I told all of you this, that if there's specific things in tier 1A and B, because it's densely populated, that you think you need authority over, let's talk about that. But let's not extend zoning carte blanche to farms just because. And so that's what the House Ag Committee, I think, has tried to do, is they've limited it to things that are more likely to implicate public safety, like traffic ingress and egress, signage, posted markings on the pavement, animals that are close to roads, which towns already can regulate animals that escape. But so I think they've tried to limit it. It's a good, I think it's a good faith effort to sort of satisfy everyone's needs, which is exactly what you have. It's just ours is focused, I think, more, your version is focused on the entire state of Vermont. And treating farming the same everywhere and not treating farms tier 1 differently. And that gives the league a little bit more of what they want. But again, I think it's great to have some different options moving forward, because at some point, if we can't all agree, then all of you are going to have to choose. And I think both options could be viable. Our position hasn't changed at all, because we think what you have is a good balance.
Have we gotten any closer with the negotiations? Or has it stopped with, Mount Vegas citizens?
I think we've we haven't really talked to them a lot since we were last
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I think because everybody sort of recognizes crossover, let's get something passed. So we keep talking and let's stop focusing on the margins because we don't need perfection right now.
Yeah.
It's crossover, but we do need to build a path. So, and I think all the stakeholders agree that the current situation is untenable for farms. So let's not needle around the edges too much and lose sight of the bigger picture, but we're very worried about extending zoning to farms in tier 1. But maybe if it was carefully crafted and well defined, maybe that would be okay. We're not there yet. So we like this. This doesn't talk about, and the tier 1 is not even drawn out yet. So
Right.
it's so hard
It
to
could be
assess.
and the way they're all talking, it could be delayed, it could be a veto on this 325, and it's all back to the drawing boards, and it's a year or two away anyway.
It's very confusing to try to evaluate impacts when the maps aren't even drawn. And also, we don't think that just because you're in tier 1 is what's important. What's more important for balancing the interests, in our opinion, is whether or not it's densely populated, whether or not you have enough land to manage livestock. So I think there are multiple paths, and I still am very thankful that stakeholders and we're very appreciative of all your work. I mean, people are agreeing on far more than they're disagreeing on, and that's wonderful. And I was in House Environment yesterday testifying, and I wasn't sure how it would be received, but I think they seem to be comfortable with what the House Agriculture Committee had passed, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Or not passed, sorry, which is
Yeah.
they're considering. Yes, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think where we are with our bill right now, the language change that we just did in section, was section 10, section 9, and we hear back from the hemp people. And then I think we're pretty complete. Everybody seemed to be in agreement with that. Yes, sir.
Sorry, if I could just, Steve Collier, you can see that. Just make one comment. I don't think it's important that we change this right now, but on the first page and the second section, so line 15, where it says the Vermont Supreme Court's decision, and then line 16, it says reversed application of the past 20 years of law. I think that's a little misleading because it's true in that for 20 years at least, it's been the law, but I don't think towns have ever had the authority to use zoning bylaws. So I might recommend you just put in reversed application of at least the past 20 years of law, because at least since 1987, it's been, I'm sorry, page 1,
First page.
First page.
first page, line 16. I just think putting a reversed application of at least the past 20 years is better, because the way it reads now, sort of by reverse implication, might suggest that before that towns were zoning farming. I don't think they ever have. At least I can't find a law where they ever have.
So change what again? Change.
Well, at least,
Just
first applications of, and then, at least the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Inserting the word and the phrase at least,
yeah, thank you. Before past.
the past.
That makes sense to you, Fred.
Yeah, that makes sense. The law, going back to about 1988, stated that municipalities shall not regulate agriculture. Ellen did some research on that and found that is about as far back as we could get it. But it's been that way since 88 at least.
Everybody go with that?
I can change.
Rob?
Yep.
Okay.
With this, going to get into the bill or?
Right. And yes, we are on top, we got a few messages talking about it, and something that the forestry people would really like to speak at with the last thing now. So anyways, I don't know where you're gonna go with that. Okay, so then I'm not gonna hold these down now. We are good. Are we committee?
Yes.
Are we good?
Yeah, I think.
Everybody knows where we're at. We'll get to you. Hopefully, we're gonna try to pass this thing out tomorrow.
Okay.
We certainly want to get some language to, natural resources, on section 9, tomorrow, if not later today. And, let them do a drive-by of it. But other than that, we're gonna drive past this bill out tomorrow.
Okay. And then,
it's. No,
is someone going to give me language for section 9 or?
Yes,
Okay, that's great.
Right after the.
Great.
yes.
I'm sorry, if I could bring up one more point, just talking to Head of Shoulders here too. On section 4. I think there was an earlier draft, so this is the accessory on farm business at $250,000.
Yes.
I think you heard from Paul Ralston earlier, and the earlier draft included donations because
Oh,
he wants to give away food,
Yeah.
which everybody supports him doing, and other people being able to do so. I don't see the donations.
Okay, no, I think that was important. I think that we wanted them a good catch on that.
You would do, I'm sorry.
I was gonna ask, is he a nonprofit? Or is he just doing it as,
He has nonprofit status.
because that's why I think that's why we put it in. The 250,000 was so we can donate and show it on his taxes. Do we need to put in that verbiage? Because I'm happy with it, but do we need to put it?
It does say sales, right now, and both, there's 2 ways to meet that threshold, either
Yeah.
by, majority of your sales come from crops on the farm or 250,000 total annual sales. So I think if you just added sales or donation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'd like that to be in there. I think that, Paul worked really hard with us to get
Yeah.
some of the stuff that he wanted. We couldn't get a lot what he done, and I want to make sure that Paul would be happy.
In some other areas where you've used donations, like in current use, you sort of tied that back to something that's traceable. I don't know if you want to do that here or not, but,
Yeah, it should be something similar to the definition everywhere else.
Okay, well,
Figure out your agreement with that, right?
Yeah, no, I think that's right, because this is a different section, right? And so it is, the donations piece was added to the land use value appraisal section of this bill, to make it such that donated crops could be eligible for land use value appraisal. And so this section could refer to that definition in that section. I'll double check to see if there's not already a definition of donations in this Title 10. But otherwise I can just say or donations as defined in this place. And have it there. I'll highlight it. For every time. I'll make that change.
I'm sorry, but before Bradley leaves, I think on page 10, line 7, where it's been added or the equivalent value of farm crops, I think that should be donated farm crops because it's defined below as donated.
Okay, I'll check with Kirby drafted that section. I'll check with him. But I don't see a problem with that, but if there is an issue, I'll raise it with the committee.
How we doing?
Yeah.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. I don't know, Bradley will get it voted out tomorrow, but I would the opportunity if we can get it voted out tomorrow.
Okay.
And, it's definitely by Friday, obviously by Friday, but, we're gonna try really, really hard tomorrow. It all depends on, again, I drive by another committee on section 9 and, which we're working on hard. So
Okay. And I will keep an eye out for the information from the CCP.
I will, put some more pressure on.
Great. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Committee, I just want to spend a few minutes on this,
yeah.
I don't know, I need some wisdom here. Attorney Collmore, Attorney Collier. When we get the House version of their bill, are we able to amend at that point in time? Sure. As long as it's germane.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. As long as we're able to do that, let's not clutter our brains with stuff that we can't, that's not important to our bill as it is right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Just take a look, I'll give that,
We're just creating an exemption for loggers. And again, that's a jurisdictional issue that the House already has authority over that. We don't.
Okay.
Natural does.
but I have I haven't sat right down with natural, but they have said, give it to ag. So give it to ag and let them deal with it.
So is this something you're thinking about adding to 323 or?
Or the House version, not 323,
Okay.
when the House version comes back.
Oh, great.
So,
Yeah, great to talk about this.
yeah, no, we want,
Yeah,
no, we want to talk, that's your copy.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm not gonna clutter our committee's brain with that right now, knowing full well that we can amend, the House version. So,
If, is there, you're talking about amending the House committee bill that means.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything on the House committee bill that's specifically about this, but I do believe the committee bills, because it's agriculture related, there's wide flexibility.
and they,
But
and
to
they,
be,
and they have that. Yeah, I mean, not, they don't have that language, but they have that right as far as forestry in their committee. And, where we have to beg, forgiveness for doing it.
so
So
that's not part of your defined scope.
it's natural,
Uh,
natural. So it'd probably be right to have it in their bill and then themselves, and then make sure that our counterparts over here were okay with it.
You might want to talk to Michael Grady or your leadership, just to, when you can amend anything that comes over to you, whether you're expanding the scope to something else. I think there's considerable latitude. It's essentially whatever the Senate wants. But if it's not specifically there, I don't know. I would, and if it's not within your jurisdiction, you might just want to ask.
We
Maybe it's Secretary Bloomer,
Yeah.
about, I think you can,
Yeah,
but,
we'll get forgiveness from the pro tem and natural resources as well.
well, that's the other way.
Yeah, yeah. So, cool. Anything else, that, you guys want to talk about? We're looking really, really good. Anybody got any concerns about it? Anybody? Is everybody good? Everybody good where we're at?
I think it's a great film.
Yeah.
And as Steve said, not everything I might have wanted in it, but that's what life's about, compromises.
Okay. Then we'll go off with